Dubai embraces paradoxes, and I love it. I really, really appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Nesha. We're in Dubai.
Grew up in Iran until I was 16. Moved to Dubai.
So was it a big culture shock moving from Iran to here?
I didn't anticipate that it would be that big of a shock because we would always travel here like on our holidays. But when we moved, I was enrolled to go to an American school, and that was the biggest culture shock. So imagine coming from like an Iranian school where you're always like covered up and you're in an all-girls school. I'm a teenager, I'm 15. I'm going to an American school and it's a mixed school and everyone's like blonde and so much taller than me, and I had this idea that I'd seen American high schools on TV, so Mean Girls and I don't know what.
What are we eating tonight?
We are having khoresh the karafs.
And this, for our very special guest tonight, is khoresh the karafs, which is celery with some Iranian vegetables, fried and then cooked with leg of lamb.
My dad's a really good cook, and he has helped prepare it, so I'm excited to taste that. We have some juje kebab.
It's our take on juje kebab with our own spices. So there's some harissa spice, there's some Kashmiri chili powder, saffron always, salt and pepper, and it'll be grilled over a bed of rice because we don't have food without rice. This is our Iranian rice, kate, so it hasn't been strained, which is the way our family really likes it.
Oh my god, it nourishes the soul. It's like the smell of coming home from school. It's the smell of having guests. It's the smell of Eid. For me, when I smell rice, I'm like, okay, something's happening. Something good is about to happen always. So I associate Iranian food with rice and togetherness. What I love with Iranian food is having a salad on the side, and we like to have sabzi for them. So fresh herbs in bunches, so one bite of the rice with a stew and a handful of herbs. And it would be fresh mint, fresh cilantro, fresh basil, green onions, and it's all green but really fragrant and just kind of rounds up every bite you take, which I don't think we have enough, so I think that's what I'd like to go and get some. I remember how my mom used to also get in the car, which is funny because I've never paid attention to that, but I always want my bag here, not right next to me instead of the seat. I always turn the car on before I put my seatbelt on because I'm impatient, and yeah, the weather is nice, so the roof is open right now. Over the past few years, I've started to really appreciate the fact that it has a top down and it's a hard top convertible, so that's really nice in this weather. I love its color, and I love the fact that it's a two-seater, so it's really cozy. So we're going to the Costco of Dubai, basically.
Oh, it's big like that.
It's not that big, but it's where people buy their bulk groceries from. And I don't know if you know, but like the local families here, they're so big. They usually have like multiple wives, a lot of kids, a lot of people who like help at home and live with them. So they're always cooking for many, many people, which is why co-op is the preferred choice for them. And it's really nice as well because the turnover of produce is so high, then you always get the freshest veggies and meats and stuff. So how do you wash these? I always like fill water inside it.
Yeah, they got sand.
Yeah.
No, I don't put them inside that.
I fill water and then I...
You're insane. Okay.
It took me, I think, 2 months to really start speaking, let alone feeling comfortable in that environment. But I think my high school experience was one of the best experiences I've had in my life, bar my INSEAD experience, which is kind of a similar experience on a grander scale and a more adult version of what I had in high school. But I think it's my friends, they're still here, they're still part of the city. And I think having seen Dubai grow, I feel like I've been part of its growth, and I want to continue to be a part of it. It's such a melting pot, and people take that really for granted, and they see themselves as outsiders. But I think the mere fact of being here with such different cultures and nationalities really paved the way for me to actually be able to go to INSEAD and even find out about INSEAD, let alone having the story to tell, to get into it and then get accepted into it.
And I'm so grateful because I think moving to Dubai actually enabled that. Moving to Dubai, having had my Iran story, growing up in Iran, but then going to a Western school, and then meeting all the people here.
That's what I was wondering, because like you are already that person.
Yeah, I think I wasn't aware of my own story or the experiences that I had, or it wasn't conscious, it wasn't by choice. But I think INSEAD really like brought it all to the surface for me, and I got to meet how people use their stories or were appreciative of their past or their language or their cultures, and it just gave me a different lens to look at life or the things I've had exposure to.
I think that's what I'm trying to do with all this stuff. I always downplay all this stuff that I've been able to experience because of my career and all the travels, and even just like my parents taking me like to the Philippines and traveling at a very young age.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get that, you know, and I meet so many people who like don't travel outside their little town or little county.
I know so many people who don't have passports until they have to at an older age.
At an old age.
Which I find crazy.
I felt born with one.
Yeah.
And you tell, like, when people are well traveled, they just, I don't know, they think differently.
I think you're just more open to things. And you have a level of comfort within yourself that even if you don't know you have relative to ones who perhaps haven't had that exposure. Like there's a layer of fear that I think is shed.
My favorite thing about Dubai, I think, is the fact that it embraces the paradoxes in life. Even, like, I think from the architecture of very Bedouin, traditional houses, areas, to the extravagance of the downtown skyline to the Burj Khalifa, that's a paradox in and of itself. Then you go to the beach and you can see women in bikinis and then women in burqas and hijab walking past each other in the same sort of moment. You have people eating with their hands from really local restaurants, and then you have fine dining restaurants. Like, all of that is happening at the same time. People are speaking different languages at the same time. Even you find Lebanese people who are speaking Arabic, English, and French, and whatever it may be, there's always opposing forces happening at the same time, and they work so beautifully well together.
Alright, so we got our herbs now.
Got our herbs washed, dried, coriander, my favorite. I'm gonna have a handful. This you should have when your partner is also having one, because obviously. And these are my mom's favorite, radishes. And we just put this in the middle of the table and just handful, like you get a bit of everything. And it's probably my favorite thing about eating food.
You never make this much. You always make big amounts for Iranian food, and that always calls for either leftovers and days of eating the leftovers, which just continues to feed you, or you just have guests and you just kind of, everyone digs in and it's sharing and you have sides. And there isn't a flavor that's overpowering, which is really nice because everything's really well rounded and it works well together.